The original 1977 Star Wars movie, I think we can all agree that this goes into the Jedi Master tier. Yeah, a lot of people like to make fun of George Lucas, and we will get into the reasons why later on, but can we at least agree that this man will forever be a legend for coming up with this fucking crazy ass idea for a movie and then actually making it into a reality? Okay, yeah, obviously took a lot of inspiration from Flash Gordon, Kurosawa, Dune, all that stuff, but George Lucas is such a baller for just sitting there and imagining this absolutely insane mythology with the Jedi and the Sith and the Force and droids and aliens and all this crazy shit. And then he creates his own VFX company and somehow gets this movie made on a pretty small budget. It's just super impressive. Automatically certified into the Hall of Fame of filmmakers. And obviously it wasn't all George Lucas. Like John Williams played a huge role in how great this movie turned out. This movie is really proof how much that music and costumes can elevate a movie. And don't get me wrong, there's definitely some dumb shit in this movie, especially when you factor in the changes that George Lucas made in the newer cuts. Like, I know everyone has harped on this at this point, but the whole scene with Han Solo and Greedo, the way it's executed in the newer cuts is so dumb. I don't know why they changed it. They're sitting there and then Han Solo drops a cold ass line. It's like, yeah, I bet you have. And then Greedo's just like, McClunky. It's so fucking stupid. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure in the original theatrical cut, Han Solo just said that cold ass line and then blasted Greedo, and that was the scene. But then George Lucas altered it afterwards so that now Greedo says McClunky and shoots first. And then Han Solo like fucking does this crazy shit with his neck. And like, why would you change the movie like that? But I mean, obviously everyone has already talked about that at this point. I mean, I can look past it. Honestly, it's kind of funny. That's the thing with some of the George Lucas Star Wars movies. Like there's some really cheesy and dumb lines, but they're kind of funny and it almost adds to the charm of the movie in a way. And also between the whole trio, Han Solo and Leia are way doper characters than Luke. Like there's that one scene later in the movie when they're discussing blowing up the Death Star and that one rebel fighter's like, well, that's an impossible shot. Nobody can hit that. And then Luke just responds, oh, it's not impossible. I used to bullseye womp rats back home in my T-16. Yeah, okay, shut the fuck up, bro. Why you gotta one up everyone? Luke gets a lot cooler in the later movies for sure. And The Empire Strikes Back, we all know this is also going into the Jedi Master tier, and yeah, I think it's the best Star Wars movie. It does everything that the first Star Wars movie did, but better. It introduced the Imperial March. It's got the greatest paternity reveal in the history of cinema. And think about how crazy that is. The fact that this is one of the biggest blockbuster movies of all time, and the climax of the movie is straight up a Maury Povich paternity reveal. It's just so fucking awesome that they did that. All of the stuff on Dagobah with Yoda, that is peak Star Wars. Oh, and you know that whole scene that everyone glazes up where Han Solo, Leia's like, I love you, and he says, I know. Do not ever do that in real life. Okay, I know everyone's like, yeah, Han Solo is so cool for doing that. I mean, yeah, Harrison Ford can pull that off. You cannot pull that off. And I will admit it, one of the cringiest things I've ever done was I actually tried to pull that line in real life. Do not do it. Trust me, do not try to pull that line. You are not Harrison Ford. I'm not Harrison Ford. You can't pull it off. It's just a douchey thing to say. Do not try to do that. Return of the Jedi. This is where things start to get mildly controversial, though we're not quite into the controversial stuff just yet. The thing with Return of the Jedi is this was the first time people saw a Star Wars movie and they started to realize that merchandising may have taken precedent over storytelling. Yes, ever since the beginning of Star Wars, merchandising has always been a big part of it. These have always been a big driver for selling toys. Return of the Jedi was the first time where you're thinking, oh, okay, so that might actually be taking priority over some of the creative decisions. The whole thing with the Ewoks, part of you is just looking at it and you're like, I don't know about that. Why did you put the Ewoks in there? Was it so you could sell teddy bears? But I will say this, even if that is true, I like the Ewoks. Okay, maybe it's because I watched this movie as a little kid. I mean, yeah, it worked on me. If you're a little kid and you see these Ewoks going apeshit on fucking AT-ATs and stormtroopers, you're gonna think it's dope as shit. I mean, yeah, I can understand if you were an adult when you watch this for the first time, you're like, yeah, that shit's fucking stupid. But when you're a little kid, yeah, the Ewoks are awesome. I still kind of like them to this day. I don't really hold it against the movie. Return of the Jedi is a mess for sure. It has a lot of issues. It gets saved in the third act with the whole Emperor and Luke showdown. I've seen some people say that whole part's kind of cheesy. I mean, maybe it is a little bit, but it's just so fun. Palpatine is such an awesome villain. I love watching Palpatine just say his crazy ass shit. Use your aggressive feelings, boy. Let the hate flow through you. Like, I just love that shit, you know? So yeah, even with the issues of Return of the Jedi, I'm still gonna say the Force is strong with this movie. I do not think that at this point Star Wars lost its creativity yet. The Phantom Menace. Now we're getting into the interesting stuff. And this is where the three main issues start to come up with the prequels. Really bad writing, questionable directing by George Lucas, and specifically when it comes to working with the actors, because these are all great actors. Liam Neeson's a good actor. Ewan McGregor, Natalie Portman, they're all good actors. You don't usually see all of these pretty good actors giving really kind of questionable performances. So you're really starting to see George Lucas's shortcomings. And again, I think George Lucas is an absolute legend, like I was saying earlier, but he does have his shortcomings as a writer and a director. And you really start to see that in The Phantom Menace. And the other thing, while the VFX in these movies are very impressive for the time, these movies are just maybe a little bit too reliant on the CGI and they don't quite hold up. But with all that being said, I still gotta give credit to the prequels because there was still a creative vision there. It was still a passion project. The whole setting of the Old Republic, the fact that George Lucas went to a completely different time period and completely created an entirely new aesthetic. It's really cool that he did that. The lore and world building in the prequels is so awesome. Even if the movies were not executed properly, he still created this really cool mythology, and I really respect that about the prequels. Even if they are kind of bad movies, they are awesome at the same time. So I'm going to put the Phantom Menace into fun bad, and what I mean by that is I know the movie kind of sucks. I know it's not really that good of a movie, but I still consider it to be on the light side of the Force because at the very least, George Lucas did add to the mythology of Star Wars. He had a cool creative vision behind this. Wasn't executed well, but I still think that Star Wars still had a soul at this point. Attack of the Clones. This might be the single worst written movie in the entire Star Wars saga, but at the same time, it also has some of the most unintentionally funny shit out of any movie I've ever seen. Obviously, everyone knows all the memes, especially Anakin talking about how he hates sand and just in general how he has absolutely zero charisma whenever he's talking to Padme. You're just like, what the fuck, dude? Like, it's hard to not kind of get some sort of enjoyment out of it because it's like, I'm sorry, I'm laughing right now because I'm just picturing the scenes in my head of Anakin trying to talk to Padme, and it's just some of the funniest shit ever. But even outside of all the romance scenes, there's so many random funny ass moments in this movie. One of my favorite ones is at the beginning of the movie, they land their spaceship on this planet. This guy, the guard, gets out of the spaceship and he's like, "Oh, I was wrong. I guess we were not in any danger after all." Immediately after that, the ship fucking explodes and then the queen just gets fucking... It's just like the timing of it. It's so stupid. So yeah, I'm also going to put Attack of the Clones into the fun bad tier. All right, Revenge of the Sith. Honestly, one of the craziest blockbuster movies ever. This movie is so weird if you really think about it, because on the one hand, it has some of the most impactful and hard-hitting scenes in the entirety of Star Wars movies. Order 66. You cannot tell me that Order 66 is not just a legendary, hard-hitting scene. But at the same time, it also has a lot of the unintentional comedy that you would get from Attack the Clones. And honestly, pound for pound, Revenge of the Sith is the funniest Star Wars movie. It has the most memes in it. It has the funniest memes. It is this weird balance of being a movie that is so bad it's good at times, but also just being legitimately really good. It's just got this epic story of Anakin turning to the dark side. And yes, it was executed pretty poorly. He turned heel really quickly, but I can let it slide because Revenge of the Sith is a really fun movie to watch. I just love Revenge of the Sith for how goofy and awesome it is at the same time. So I'm going to put Revenge of the Sith into the Force is Strong. The Force Awakens. This is kind of a difficult movie to rate because on the one hand, it is actually kind of a well-made movie. If you completely wipe my memory right now and I had never seen a Star Wars movie, and then you just showed me The Force Awakens, I would probably be like, oh yeah, that's a pretty good movie. That was really creative. That was really cool. But when you know all of the context of Star Wars and you know what The Force Awakens actually is, I don't know. It's for me, I just really do not like this movie. And it's not just because they basically remade the plot of the first Star Wars movie. I could let that slide, but it's also that they didn't add anything to the world building. They didn't do anything new to the mythology. All this movie is pure nostalgia bait. They took all of the popular iconography from the original trilogy. The First Order is just the Empire, but like slightly different. Stormtroopers, they look the same. You got the same desert planet. Everything about this movie is just taking the original trilogy aesthetic and world and copying it and slightly tweaking it. I mean, say what you will about the prequels, at least George Lucas actually added something new to the mythology of Star Wars. He created this whole thing with the Old Republic, and it basically just felt like you were entering into a completely different era in this universe, and that was really cool. That's one of the coolest things about the prequels. Whereas the sequels, it just feels like you're going on this nostalgia trip through memory lane, and I really just didn't like that. It kind of left a sour taste in my mouth. So yeah, I'm gonna put The Force Awakens into a disturbance in the Force, and here's the thing, you could say that it's a more well-made movie than the prequels in a lot of ways. Tighter script, better VFX, better acting performances, better directing, just pretty much better filmmaking across the board. But at the same time, would you rather have a well-made corporate product or a really sloppy passion project? And for the people who like The Force Awakens, that's totally fine. I get it. I can understand why people like this movie. It is kind of entertaining if you just look at it purely in a vacuum. But I don't know. I just couldn't get into it for the reasons I just mentioned. So I got to say there is a disturbance in the Force when it comes to this movie. Rogue One. This probably will be my most controversial take on the entire tier list. I know a lot of people love this movie. They say it's such a great movie. I can see why. It does have a lot of pretty cool qualities to it. Obviously, the Darth Vader cameo, yeah, it was cool. And at the same time, you're like, okay, yeah, like they're just putting a Darth Vader cameo. But it was cool. I will give the movie that. But at the same time, I just truly did not care about any of the characters in this movie at all. I have to put this into the I don't care tier. This movie ruined my childhood. No, it's a masterpiece. You're just an idiot. Okay, The Last Jedi. I think enough time has probably passed at this point that people have maybe chilled out about this movie. For the longest time, anyone who was passionately discussing this movie were just the most annoying people ever, both sides of the argument. What I couldn't understand is, why are you getting so emotionally invested in how this movie is received? I love movies, okay? Movies mean a lot to me, but you should never get that emotionally invested in a movie to the point where if someone else disagrees with you about a movie, it actually makes you mad. Like, get over it, dude. It's a fucking movie. But anyway, with that little rant aside, I have to say, I don't really like The Last Jedi at all. I can understand a little bit why some people like it, because, I mean, yeah, they did try to do something a little bit different. They went with this more post-conventional storytelling with more morally gray characters, and they were questioning the idea of heroes versus villains and the Jedi versus Sith, and just the general mythology of Star Wars. Okay, I can kind of see why people would find that pretty interesting. Although I will say it is kind of weird seeing Disney, this multi-billion-dollar corporation, purchasing someone else's work of art and then deconstructing all of the themes from the original work of art that they purchased. I don't know, it's a little bit weird. Oh yeah, and I could probably even let that slide a little bit, but another problem with The Last Jedi is that it's just not really a fun movie to watch. The whole subplot on the casino planet, it just kind of sucks. It's boring. All of the sequels, but including The Last Jedi, they just lack that charm, if you know what I mean. Solo. I kind of feel the same way about this as I do with The Force Awakens. Just felt like nostalgia bait, and it was like, really, you're going to make a Han Solo spin-off movie? It just felt so lame. Even if the movie was semi-well made, like, I just can't shake that feeling of this being this soulless corporate product. And so I'm just going to put this into disturbance in the Force. And now we have The Rise of Skywalker. Yeah, I got to put this into the Sith Lord tier. It's just such a pathetic movie. The fact that they saw the backlash to The Last Jedi and they just retconned everything. Like, I did not like The Last Jedi. But at that point, you may as well stick to your guns. They just showed their cards here that they never had any creative vision at all, that this entire sequel trilogy really meant nothing to the people creating it. I mean, I'm sure, what's his face, Rian Johnson, who made The Last Jedi, I cannot imagine what he was thinking watching The Rise of Skywalker, just retconning his entire movie. Like, at least say what you will about Rian Johnson and how he handled The Last Jedi. He was the only person in the entire sequel trilogy who at least like tried to maybe do something a little bit different. I don't like what he was doing, but at least he tried to do something. But then you just watch The Rise of Skywalker and you're just like, wow, like this movie has no balls. Like, just a complete pathetic excuse of a movie. Like, the fact that they made an entire movie as a response to the fan criticism of The Last Jedi. Talk about just absolute pathetic bullshit, pandering nonsense. And by the way, I know I'm railing really hard against this movie, and I'm not trying to say anything against the people who like the movie. I know people in real life who really like this movie. I know a lot of people enjoyed it. That's totally cool. If you enjoy this movie, I'm very happy for you. I mean that genuinely. I'm just saying, me personally, I found this movie to be complete and utter dog shit, irredeemable piece of shit movie. So I got to put it into the Sith Lord tier. Not only is it just a bad movie, but this is truly the dark side of the Force in terms of cinema. If you want to see a tier list where I rank every single Marvel movie, check out this MCU tier list right here.